scriptwriter for a musical is different than writing a book, writing a regular book. It means that I just wrote the script, the story, you know, for the musical, and it was based on Otis Williams' biography. It was him and Patricia Romanowski that wrote his biography. And so I had to take extracts, you know, and things that I thought were exciting in his book that maybe were not in the Temptations movie, because the movie was also based on the book. And so I tried to find different things that I didn't know, background information about songs that they've recorded, but most importantly, there are some political things about them as a group that I thought, oh, now, we don't think of the Temptations as like a political group. So for me, that was the biggest part of adapting his story about Otis Williams' story, who was the founding member of the Temptations and the last surviving member of the originals. And so I was taking his story and transitioning it to a Broadway stage where you're adding, you know, music and choreography and all these things. So that's what makes it really unique. I'm a Detroit girl, so the Temptations mean everything to me because they mean everything to my city. You know, I always say that Detroit, because of Motown and its genesis there, you know, Detroiters feel like that we own the Temptations and we've loaned them out to the rest of the world, you know. So for me, it feels really close and really personal to be able to tell their story. They're my parents' childhood heroes, you know, and I've been able to sort of resurrect the spirit that was once, you know, of their beginnings. You know, I've been able to resurrect that for audiences that remember it. But it's also a very contemporary story, and I think that that's why it resonates right now. You know, it's the story of these 5 black men who are trying to figure out themselves and their brotherhood and their careers and their art at a time when the nation is really divided and there's all this civic unrest. And, you know, that's right now. I mean, all artists right now are trying to figure out who they're going to be in their art and if they're going to speak to the issues of our day, you know, or if that's going to compromise something about like the money that they could be making and the how far their careers can go. Those are really active questions for me, so I thought, oh yeah, we need to talk about that because, again, people aren't thinking about that when they're thinking about the Temptations. I know many people that are successful at mixing, being in their shows and also writing them. You know, for me, I can do that, but when it's the premiere of the work, there's a lot of focus that I need to do as a writer on the script. I need to be present and really committed on that journey, and I think my brain gets split and divided in a way that doesn't feel productive enough for me when I'm also being the actor, you know, but there's people that write. I've also written solo shows, so I have written for myself before as a performer, and I started off as a playwright because I was an actor and I wasn't getting enough, you know, work at my school. I wasn't getting enough chances to do things that were reflective of my upbringing and my background and culture, and so that's what I started doing this for, and that's what a lot of, I think, writer-performers, how they get into this, you know. But for me, the writing and the acting don't have to go hand in hand. I can be an actor, I can be a writer, and when I'm a writer, I like to really focus on that because I just enjoy the art of writing by itself, not just to serve myself, you know, but to serve everybody and to employ various artists, you know, and to tell stories on different bodies. So that's what I'm interested in. You know, I started in theater as a writer, as a playwright, to give space and make space for myself, to give a voice to myself when I felt like there wasn't enough space being made for me. You know, my advice to young artists, to young writers, to young actors is to not rely on being cherry-picked, you know. I think when people can pick you off a tree and just say, hey, I want this flavor today, I want that flavor tomorrow, it really invests in the idea that instead of being the tree, that you're only a little branch, but you are the tree. We are the artists. We grow all the fruit ourselves, so we don't have to wait for somebody to come select us. We select ourselves. I would say build with your community that's around you. The best thing I ever did was not try to get on by, you know, somebody that's already more accomplished than me. I actually tried to build with the people that are right where I'm at that are just as hungry as me. And now those people are in very prominent positions in theaters and film and television across this country. And these are people that were my peers. They were not like people that had already gone on to do the great things without me, you know? Thursday, March 21st, that was the opening, the official press opening of Ain't Too Proud on Broadway. It was a magical night. I mean, the audience, the cast was just like super on fire. The audience was crazy. There were so many, you know, people that were there in that house that wanted us to be on that stage. They had been waiting for us and rooting for us. So the synergy in the room, backward and forward, it was incredible. And it was awesome because we always say we really like to give Otis Williams, who is the, you know, founding member, you know, we like to give him his flowers while he's still alive. And so to see Otis's life story up there and to see it so well received, I mean, there's no greater gift for any of us as the artists to be able to usher that forward for somebody else. You know, I would have to say my sister Camilla Forbes, who is the Executive Artistic Director of the Apollo Theater right now. She's just incredible. She has incredible vision. She's the sage of wisdom. She has, since her tenure at the Apollo, had some amazing events and artists come through there. And we know the Apollo is already its own legend that has amazing artists come through. And I feel like she's tapped into that in a very contemporary way and reignited the old spirit that it had and is expanding upon it. So she's made space for a lot of new artists to come up there. The Apollo Music Cafe is really funky. And she's also branching out and adding more connection between the Apollo and the rest of the Broadway and off-Broadway theater community. Camilla Forbes has also directed a lot of my own work personally. And so I celebrate Camilla. I think she's a fantastic woman. One of my favorite things that she did in her tenure there is right after Black Panther, she had Ta-Nehisi Coates and Chadwick Boseman on stage at the Apollo to talk about both of their life's work. And they're all friends from Howard. And I thought, wow, girl, your Rolodex is fly. But it's just the community that she's kept in contact with since she was in school, and that's kind of the person that she is. She's a leader and a visionary and a thinker, and so I like to amplify right now Camilla Forbes of the Apollo Theater. I'm in residence as a playwright at the Signature Theater, so I have a new play that'll be coming out as part of my residency. We have 3 plays, and I've already done 1 last year. And I have 2 more to go, so next year there'll be another one from me, and helmed by Camilla Forbes. And so we get a chance to collaborate together on that, and we're working on some other projects together. And I'm also developing things in television right now, and working on a screenplay. So you'll see me in film, television, and theater because it's all the creative writing stuff, and that's what I'm here to take up some space in every medium. You know, I stand on the shoulders of so many amazing women writers and directors, and there would be no me without the influences of Pearl Clegg, who is a Detroit girl, but she's an essayist, a novelist, a playwright. I stand on her shoulders, on Alice Childress, on Lorraine Hansberry, Lynn Nottage, you know, and I just want to lift those women up right now, and Cheryl West, and say that there's like a legacy. Like, I know I didn't get here by myself, and so I pay homage to the people that came before me. And I really want to amplify the women in Ain't Too Proud, because this is about the Temptations. We have some brilliant guys who are representing this group so fantastically. But I think the surprise of our show is when those women come out and slay. And there's space for every woman on that stage to do her thing and be magnificent, and they rise to the occasion. So I'm looking forward for audiences to get to know the men and the women of Ain't Too Proud.